Good evening, everybody. This is Davey Jones live from our Bucyrus Pizza Hut with Coach's Corner West. We've got Bucyrus Winford Buckeye Central tonight. We'll lead off with Bucyrus and the wrestling program and Coach Shane Kokensparger. And a little later on in the evening, we'll be talking bowling with Winford, and we'll talk with the M10 volleyball champions and district runner-up Buckeye Central Buckets. They come in and wrap up the show this evening. Our show is brought to you on 92.7 WQEL and WQEL Facebook by Matt Studer at Spitzer Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram Kia, just a mile east of the Richland Mall. Coach Tim Plumley at Mohegan Sports Medicine and Rehabilitation. Coach Doug Ludehold at Advanced Fiber Technology. Rob Lust at Edgefield Animal Clinic in Marion. Matt Ramsey, John Ziegler, Drew Young, Frank Heinlein, and everybody at Bucyrus Blades, serving worldwide markets from Bucyrus since 1951. And Roger Brown at Winks Lock and Safe, South Poplar at West Warren, Bucyrus. My privilege to welcome to our microphones the new coach of the Bucyrus Wrestling Program, Shane Kokensparger. Coach, let's find out about your background. You're a teacher at Bucyrus?
I am. This is my second year.
All right.
Being part of the Redmond family, which I thoroughly enjoy.
And teaching what?
I am teaching special education, but I also teach some English and math.
Okay, and at the high school?
I'm at the high school.
At the high school level. All right, where did you go to high school?
I went to Springfield High School in Holland, Ohio.
Which is not that far, just outside of Toledo, right?
It is. Spring Meadows area right by St. John's.
All right, and let's talk about college eligibility.
I went to University of Findlay.
University of Finley?
I did.
All right, and your degree was in education?
Yes. I did spend some time in the Marine Corps.
All right.
So that was...
Now, did you do that before college, after college?
Right after high school, right before college.
All right, how long in the Marine Corps?
I was in there four years.
Overseas?
I did. I went to Japan and Korea.
All right.
Had a lot of fun time. A lot of great memories made.
All right, very good. Well, talk to me a little bit about your wrestling program. How many people do you have returning? I understand we have a lot of guys that are team guys.
No, last year I think they finished up with about 7 or 8 guys.
All right.
Right now we have about 21 on the high school program.
All right, you've done a good job.
It helps being on the football staff.
Okay.
Coach Plumley has definitely helped recruit the basketball coach who has also thrown a couple guys our way.
All right.
But yeah, it's been nice being in the school, getting to know the kids, having them over for dinner, spending June, July, August with them through the rough summer days, and just having them believe in what we're going to do as a program.
What are you going to do, Coach?
We're going to be physical.
All right.
We are going to be intense. We're going to be aggressive, and we're going to win matches.
All right. I assume, I don't know this for sure, that you wrestled in university.
I did.
All right. And college.
I did.
All right. So is wrestling your first love as far as sports are concerned?
It is.
You played some football.
I did. I played football in high school.
All right.
I was a decent football player. I was a defensive back.
All right.
But growing up in a small town like Holland Springfield was back then, it is very comparable to what Bucyrus is. Very close knit. A lot of the guys played multiple sports, but we didn't focus on one thing. And that's what we here at Bucyrus are teaching these kids. Let's play multiple sports and let's get good as a organization, as an athletic program, not just wrestling, not just football.
We can't do that. I mean, we don't have enough people.
Right.
And Bucyrus, now they were the biggest school. Well, guys were the biggest school, but Bucyrus was one of the top schools. They're not necessarily the biggest school anymore. Winford is division football now, so I mean, it's not the biggest school, and you've got to share your kids.
Yes.
You have some new faces, obviously. Now, you say you recruited while you're
right. So just being with them June, July, and August, you start touching on wrestling, and after football, what are you going to do? Are you just going to hit the weight room? Well, why not wrestle? Especially because I coach the defensive line, and as a defensive coordinator, I want some guys who are aggressive, who like to get low, who want to fire off the ball. And wrestling and football go hand in hand.
All right. I first heard that from one of your colleagues way back at Bucyrus, back in the mid-'90s, Coach Doug Fry. I don't know. Did you know?
I don't know.
You knew? Well, he was a very good football coach. He had a lot of success back in the '90s, and he was the same way. He was recruiting, and he had nothing to do with the wrestling program, but he loved to get his football players wrestling.
Right. So I try and tell these guys, everyone knows who Ray Lewis was.
Okay.
Baltimore Ravens, middle linebacker, Hall of Fame. most people don't know he was a 2-time state champ in wrestling from the state of Florida.
Okay.
There are many NFL players. For instance, University of Cincinnati's head coach, Fickle.
Yeah.
Columbus of Sales, 2-time state wrestling champ.
Exactly.
So,
interim head coach at Ohio State
yes,
for 1 year.
Yep, and played college football.
All right.
So they go hand in hand.
Why does a wrestling help a football player?
Balance, stamina, quickness, thinking.
Okay.
We are teaching these kids that they have to chain wrestle. It can't just be one move. If I hit a single leg on Bryant, Bryant's got to know now what my next move is going to be before I do it. So he's got to prepare mentally for every match, just like you do for every football play.
All right. Is it an M10 sport? Is wrestling an M10 sport?
It is. Just some of the schools, Winford does not have it. Crawford does not have it.
And that's surprising. You've got very good football programs.
Right.
Just maybe we should, Bucyrus should encourage you to get it.
Well, no, but we want the best competition.
Sure.
So if they're going to bring it out, then we're going to welcome them.
Yeah, I can see the point.
So we're setting these kids up for a tough schedule. There is no holding back.
Who is the competition?
We're actually going to go to D1 Findlay a couple times this year.
All right.
In the N10, probably Seneca East and Mohawk.
All right.
Carey's numbers have been down of late, but they got Ryan Pratt out there, who's a great guy.
The football program's very good too.
Right. They just don't transition to wrestling as they used to.
All right.
One of their running backs and punter, Lance Rickles, a very good wrestler. So
it's not the N10, but Northport had a very good wrestling program. Are you familiar with that?
I am.
Are they still?
They have a couple solid kids.
Okay.
I'm more familiar with more the Northwest Ohio, the top part of the state, being up in that area for so long. I am familiar with a lot of the names down here and the Findlay boys. But our competition, I believe, this year is going to be ourselves.
Where do you see yourself fitting in as far as a league competition is concerned? And is winning the league important and a big deal, or getting better important and a big deal, or combination of both?
So I believe winning the league is important, mainly as the bragging rights.
Okay.
But I think getting better every week is more important. So the old saying is, you practice all year for day 3.
Okay.
Day 3 is the state tournament. Day 3 of the state tournament means you're in a placement round.
All right.
So you practice all year for day 3 of that state tournament. And I believe we have some kids this year who are capable of making to the state tournament.
All right.
It's just, are they going to push themselves to make day 3?
All right. I've got that written down towards the end of our discussion, and I want to ask about that. Are most of your meets dual meets? We have more than one wrestling, more than one school together. It's not just Bucyrus and Seneca East. It's Bucyrus wrestling several schools.
I have set up a mixture this year.
All right.
Being familiar with a lot of the coaches, we have an in-school match coming up where we're going to bring the entire district in, elementary, and everyone's going to come watch the boys wrestle against Ada. It's just us versus Ada.
Right.
We also have the day before us versus Findlay Liberty Benton, just a dual meet. But we do have a lot of quads. We have Lucas and Plymouth, Willard coming in. Findlay's going to come to us. We're going to go to Findlay. We are, the challenge to kids, we're going to go to Allen East this year. Allen East has a 215 and a heavyweight who are both ranked in the top 5 of state. And if my heavyweight and my 215 want to see where they're at, then we got to see the best competition.
Okay, so you're not afraid of it?
We're not running from anyone.
All right.
Again, we're going to open up with Mansfield at their tournament.
All right.
And then we're going to come back the next weekend and we have our own tournament.
If you get beat, it's a learning experience.
It is.
You got to get better.
That's it. And the only one that can push yourself in wrestling is you.
All right, very good. We're going to talk to these young men here in just one moment. We've got Dalton Barker, Nate Zehring, Sawyer Cooper, and Bryant Pfeifer. And you might recognize some of these names because they all played football. And,
Yes.
You did get them out, and they're not doing a little bit more than just lifting weights, right?
Right. Well, these guys are 4 returners who, Dalton didn't wrestle last year, but I believe having a little influence with him on the football field got him out. But I look for big things from these 4.
All right, very good.
Lead the team, and lead the team.
All right. We're going to talk to these guys in just a second. Our broadcast coverage brought to you on WQEL Facebook, by Vince Ponziani of the Associates at Waycraft Industries, Rod Steiner, and everybody at Pizza Hut, Bucyrus and Gallion, host of our show since 1992. The Burkhardt family, Burkhardt Farm Sales, your Case IH dealer on the Manette U. Winchester Road. Also, Lee Plymouth, Brad Seibert, Plymouth Insurance Group, Bucyrus and Gallion, Hannah Newton at Wendy's, Bucyrus and Upper Sandusky, North and Central State College, Mansfield, and the Crawford Success Center in Bucyrus. Dalton Barker is up first. Dalton was here before and was a football player and has transitioned to the wrestling program. And you're wrestling at 120, 126. So in wrestling, that's pretty reasonable because you're going to be wrestling guys your own size. How'd that work out for football, buddy?
Well, with me being a smaller guy, there's pros and cons. I like being smaller. It shows I can hit, but I'm still a smaller guy.
So if you see a guy coming at you at 126 pounds, you're not expecting too much.
It's light work.
Not too much. And your goal is to surprise that daylights out of them, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. So talk to me about you wrestled last year, right?
Last year I lifted instead of wrestling.
Okay, so you're back to wrestling again.
Yes,
And
sir.
what do you hope to obtain out of this year, other than the satisfaction of wrestling? Can you transcend wrestling into being a better football player?
I believe so.
All right.
It's got to be willing to hit. Got to be willing to get some bruises.
All right. What are your goals this year?
I want to make it to districts again.
All right.
And just overall good record.
Other than football and wrestling, any other sports?
I do track.
All right.
Yeah.
And you have plans for some college? You and I talked about this a little bit. I was giving you some information.
I'd like to go.
Right.
I would really like to go to college, something business, learn how to independently run my own business, work for myself.
All right, very good, buddy. I appreciate you stopping by. Up next is Nate Zehring. Nate is the heavyweight. He's a sophomore, way down at the end of the table. And I remember you played football, right?
Yeah, I played football.
All right, and you got to be offensive, defensive line, right?
Yeah, I played football.
All right, and only a sophomore, so you got your whole career from you. You got a couple more years of football. Talk to me about how you got into wrestling. You got into wrestling last year, right?
No, I didn't get into wrestling. I did last year, but I've been doing it throughout middle school.
All right, so you're back to wrestling. Yeah, coach encouraged you to come on out.
Yeah.
All right, and what do you hope to obtain by wrestling in the winter months?
Better balance, get stronger, get better as a team.
All right, thinking it through while you're wrestling, is that an important part of it as well?
It's all about mental toughness.
All right.
What you're doing.
All right. Other than football and wrestling, any other sports?
I played baseball.
You play baseball as well. All right. Well, you look like you might be able to bat cleanup. If you can catch up with the fastball, you ought to be able to send it a little ways. There's nothing wrong with that. Goals for this year in wrestling?
Win the N10 for heavyweight.
All right.
Make it to district.
All right, but good for you. I appreciate you stopping by. Up next is Sawyer Cooper, 126, 132 sophomore. And Sawyer played football, but you weren't here for the show this year in football season, right?
I was.
You were?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was towards the end, so.
Okay, well, that's all right. I should have remembered you then.
Yeah.
Sawyer, 126, 132 sophomore, played football. What positions did you play in the football team?
I was a tight end and linebacker.
All right. And why are you wrestling this year? What's the advantage?
So I've been wrestling since 7th grade. I just love everything about it, just how it makes me a better person overall. It just makes me better at sports and everything.
All right. You hope to transcend your wrestling into being a better football player?
Yeah.
All right. And talk to me a little bit about some of the goals you have in the wrestling program this year.
This year, I want, as a team, to win N10 because as a team since the N10 was formed, we only the highest place that we placed was 3rd. So this year, I want to get to first as a team, have the bragging rights, and then make it to districts this year.
All right, very good, buddy. I appreciate you stopping by. And finally, we got Bryant Pfeifer. Bryant's wrestles at 215. He's a senior. And Bryant, you played some football as well.
Yes, I did.
Now you're going to wrestle this year. What do you hope to accomplish out of the wrestling this year? Because you're not going to take it to football next year unless you're planning on playing some college.
No, I actually plan on wrestling in college. My goals for this year, personally, is to make it to state and actually place at state.
All right.
Because I've made it to districts past all my high school career, and I just never made that hump. And I'm just really got to push
Stuck
myself.
right in there.
Yeah. And then, like, as a team, my goal is honestly to see all these guys.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see them grow and get better, so the future is brighter than what I had. Because I've came up with small numbers, and I just got to fend for myself. And I just want these guys to grow as a team and really be dominant.
Could play some spring sports as well.
Spring sports, I'm still. It's up in the air between track and baseball. I think I'm leaning towards track, throwing shot, run some distance.
All right. College, you said next year where?
Baldwin Wallace is a school I'm sort of looking at right now. They've talked to me about wrestling some. I got a visit up there soon, and there's some other schools that I could look around and apply for. So.
All right. Best of luck with it, buddy. I appreciate you stopping by. We're going to come back and talk with Coach Kokensparger here in just a moment. Our show brought to you in part by Blythe Friedley and Todd McDougall at Friedley and Company Insurance in New Washington. Also brought to you in part by Mike Kleine, Ag Credit Residential Lending, Bucyrus, Mount Gilead, Marion. Dr. Thomas M. Britton, Clubview Vision Center. Luann Krebs, Rivers Edge Embroidery, Screen Printing, Signs, the official foam board t-shirt provider, Route 309, right across from the Marion Depot. Also, the Ohio State University of Marion, a Big Ten education close to home, and Ken Coder at Monarch Body Shop in New Washington. Coach, let's first of all talk a little bit about the tournaments. We started touching on that. These young men all have goals to get into the tournaments, districts. Regionals would be nice. This young man says, I'm going to state. And that's got to make his coach feel good. They've got high aspirations.
It is. Bryant right now is preseason ranked number 13th in the state at 215. But if he were to be ranked at heavyweight, he would probably be top 5, 6.
Okay. Why is that? I mean, he's not heavyweight, and he's
because a lot of it is, I don't want to sugarcoat it. A lot of people are trying to avoid Nate Kohlhofer from Delta, who went up to heavyweight.
okay.
And the
So the guys could be good.
The young man from Allen East, who took second in the state last year, is back, who's ranked second.
All right.
So Nate from Delta won the tournament at 220 last year, because they changed the weight classes, and he went up to heavyweight. So, but I think Bryant's going to probably do some time at 215 heavyweight, just to see. Heavyweight's 285. Bryant's weighing about 215 right now, so he's giving up 60 pounds.
All right.
So we'll see if the weight balance, he can handle it. But I think at 215, Bryant stands a good chance to be top 8 at state.
All right. Where's our first meet?
So we're at Mansfield,
All right.
Mansfield Madison for the first tournament. That's a good, solid 10-team tournament. Then
When's the date on that?
the 4th, December 4th.
December 4th.
So-
You're a month away.
We are. And then we have the Bucyrus tournament, which is probably one of the biggest it's been in a long time. I think we have 24 teams
All right.
coming to Bucyrus. Then we're going to go to D1 Findlay,
All right.
and we're going to go to their tournament. We're gonna spend a weekend out in Coldwater.
All right.
For a tournament out there. We're going to go to Plymouth. Good friends with Jeremy Belkin, Plymouth's coach. And then we're going to go down. We're going to hop down the road to Mapleton.
Were you able to put your schedule together?
I did. Matt McKeever, the athletic director, who is a wrestling guy.
Yeah, he was. In fact, I think he was coaching.
He was. He let me scrap the whole schedule.
Really?
And he said, build your own.
Okay.
So we went with what I thought was going to be best for our upper echelon kids and our kids that are beginning. Because we have about 7 or 8 freshmen who have never stepped foot on a mat before.
All right.
So, I don't want to send them to a meat grinder and, they go, the 2 losses, it could be done. That's not growing. We want to send them to tournaments where they can have success, maybe go 2-2, 2-3. But at the same time, for these 4 gentlemen right here at this table, they need to see the tough competition if they want to make it to day 2 at districts and then turn around and make it to the state tournament.
Sounds good. Coach, I wish you the best of luck. Thank you
you.
so much for sharing some time with us. Coach Shane Kokensparger on the wrestling program from Bucyrus. Coming up next, it's the Winford Royals. We're going to talk some bowling. That comes up on WQEL Facebook right after this.